Hundreds of thousands are planning to line the streets of Washington, D.C. tomorrow for Donald Trump's inauguration, and just one day before he is sworn in as the 45th president of the United States. A CBS News poll shows this: some 59% of Americans believe Mr. Trump will bring change to Washington, but the same poll shows that 61% believe he will also divide the country. CBS News contributor Bob Schieffer has covered a number of inaugurations during his career, 13 to be exact. Joins us now to give us his perspective on, tomorrow's festivities. Again, Bob, 13 inaugurations beginning in 1965, which is to say I'll have what you're having. But to that point, your employees are already with the parlor game. The cups are at the ready, Bob. So how do you see these last days leading into tomorrow's event?
Well, it's very, very different. This is a different kind of transition because, quite frankly, it was a different kind of election. My only prediction of where we go from here is the same thing I said, and I said it to you, Josh, when we were out in Cleveland at the end of the Republican convention. People were saying, is Donald Trump going to change his tactics now? Is he going to shift into a general election mode? And I said one of the few things that actually came true when I said it out there in Cleveland. I said, look, Donald Trump, what we have learned at this convention is Donald Trump is going to run as Donald Trump, which, of course, he did. I think when Donald Trump takes the office, he will be presiding and governing as Donald Trump, the Donald Trump that we came to know in the primaries, in the general election, and that's my prediction of what we're going to see once he takes the oath. Now, that may change as time goes on, but I think he's going to start out being the Donald Trump we all know.
Well, then he will continue to also be a president-elect and a new president with historically low levels of inspired optimism from around the country. Our latest poll, in fact, shows just 56% of Americans are optimistic about his presidency. Again, as you note, crafted in his own image, at least to this point. So if nothing else, with a speech that his aides have been very quick to tell everyone he wrote himself, what do you believe he needs to say?
Well, I think anything that he can say to sort of heal the rift in the country right now. This is still a deeply divided country. I mean, people keep talking about the low approval rating, which will be the lowest approval rating any incoming president has ever had. But we should not really be all that surprised about that, because let's not forget, we had something quite unusual when it came down to the two candidates who ran against each other. A majority of people neither liked nor trusted either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. So that, I think, kind of explains where his approval ratings are today. But I don't think we're going to see much different. I think this speech will be in pretty much his vocabulary that we heard. I think he's going to talk about jobs. I think he's going to talk about keeping the nation secure. And, you know, the question, Josh, that we're all wondering about here is, will he, as he often did during the primaries and during the general election, will he go off script?
Yeah.
Will he talk? Will he ad-lib something in rather than just a straight read of the teleprompter? I think 99% of the time in the speeches he's given up until this point, he did go off prompter. So will he this time? You know, I'm just going to say, I bet he does.
I'll take a little bit of that action then, there, Bob. And you mentioned a deeply divided nation. But this is a man who has a self-professed enemies list. This is a man who, in those ad-libs of which you speak, often use those ad-libs to target someone, if not often his opponent. Even last night at a dinner honoring his vice president-elect, reports suggest that when Donald Trump made a surprise appearance, he couldn't help but take a shot at Mike Pence for not initially endorsing him, which is to ask, do you believe that Donald Trump is particularly interested in mending that rift?
Donald Trump won not by more through a message of bringing people together as to trying to bring more people into the tent, but by doubling down on his core supporters. And I think you're going to continue to see some of that as we go along. I tell you what is worrying some people here, and that is the whole issue of the tweets. I spent a lot of time with foreign policy types this week, and that is the thing that is of most concern to them. They are worried that other nations are not quite sure yet who, if anyone, speaks for the president. That's one reason some Democrats are very, very interested in getting his national security team confirmed and in place. They feel it's dangerous if people don't know what American positions are on some of these key issues. And as you well know, we heard Trump over the weekend again say that he thought NATO was obsolete. He equated Vladimir Putin with Angela Merkel, the Prime Minister of Germany, or Chancellor, and saying, you know, I'm going to trust both of them going in, but we'll see what happens. I mean, the idea that you would, equate the German leader and the leader of Russia, one our strongest ally and perhaps our most powerful ally in Europe, the other the head of a nation that is rising as one of our main adversaries, that gives people pause. And I think the sooner they can get those people in place, and the sooner that we can establish who it is that's speaking for the United States, I think a lot of people in the foreign policy establishment will breathe a sigh of relief.
If only to establish who it is who might be answering the phones this weekend. Bob, I want to get you out of here on this one quickly. President Obama delivered his last remarks to the White House press corps yesterday. He did say that he would weigh in on issues that that meant a lot to him, that he felt his voice could lend an impact. He also, though, says that he just misses the quiet. What do you expect from President Obama beginning Saturday?
Well, he said, I just want to be quiet for a while. And you know, after you've been through 8 years of being president, I can well understand what he is saying. And I think that's a nice thing for him to say. But I think you will hear from time to time, after, I'm going to say, a few months pass at least, maybe longer, you will see him weigh in on issues that he, well, frankly, thinks he needs to weigh in on. But I think he will pick and choose very carefully when and where to speak. For the time being, until we hear otherwise, I think he's not going to say very much.
And, well, as he has confirmed, he will not be setting that alarm for Saturday morning. Very much understood. Bob Schieffer in Washington. We will see you tomorrow, pal. Thank you so much for the insight.
Great to be here. Thanks, Josh.
And a reminder, CBSN has you covered on Inauguration Day. We will have complete coverage from Washington from day's beginning to end again tomorrow, January 20th, if you were confused about which calendar year I was speaking of, right here on CBSN.